Hey everybody, happy Friday. So it is Fun Fact Friday again. This is my second favorite day of the week, not to be confused with my first favorite day of the week, which is, as everybody knows it, Travel Trivia Tuesday. Guys, my name is Nathan, co-owner of Dawn of Adventures. This here is my Fun Fact Friday hat, and boy am I excited for today. We have an amazing Peruvian native. His name is Rony. He and I got to know each other in Disney. He worked over at Citrico's when I was over at Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian. But I just recently learned he is from Peru. He was born there, and he'll actually tell us a little bit about his story, how he came to the U.S., and really just give us some great information about Peru. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce him here. All right. So everybody, I just want to let you know I have Rony here with me tonight.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Rony and I worked a little bit together, kind of side by side in separate restaurants at the Grand Floridian when I was down in Florida. But he was born in Peru and is from Peru. So we're going to learn about Peru tonight. I'm super excited. Rony, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
Awesome. So Rony, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Peru, and kind of why you came to the States, and a little bit about the country that you're born in.
Yeah, of course. Peru is, to begin with, is a beautiful place. I left when I was 16 because Peru was going through a rough part with its government and some terrorism, actually. So when 9/11 happened, it really touched base, with me, because it was something that I had experienced when I was younger than that. But all of that is done and over with, and it's a beautiful place, and I definitely highly recommend visiting. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. So you were born in Peru. You moved when you were 16. Is that what I just heard?
That is, yeah, correct. I moved to Miami when I was 16. Actually, in the whole conversation about Peru came because I didn't go to, the best place to go to Peru, which is Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of difficult for us at around that time to do it. My father being in the Peruvian army and having to deal with all those issues. But I went back when I was 24 years old, and it was definitely one of the best experiences of my life.
I bet. I've honestly only heard incredible things about the traveling to Machu Picchu, and it's one of those things that I feel like you just have to experience in your life.
Yes. I think that, it's a rich cultural place, and it's sinking. So they closed it for a while, and they just reopened it back again, and they have now been discovering there are more things underneath the ruins.
Really?
So they keep on discovering things on the bottom of the ruins. Yeah, so they're thinking that it has a connection to the top as well. If we are going to talk about Machu Picchu was going to be, it's like the city of the kings, right? Where the Inca, which was the king around the time, the most important person, would go and reflect and have his, I guess, religious getaways, if you want to call it, due to the location of where this is located. It's basically in the middle of the mountains, and they literally took the top of a mountain and they cut it off and they place their city on top. So it's incredible because there are several ways to get there, and it's just amazing. You can walk 2 days to get to the ruins. You can walk 4 days to get to the ruins, and then you can also do something called Caminos del Inca, which is basically it's a week in which you start at Cusco, and from there you start walking. And basically what it does is that it follows the route of Chasqui, which the Chasquis were like the mailmen. They would be people carrying quipus, which are strings with nuts in it, and that's how they were able to communicate, and that's how the Inca would rule all the provinces by sending his chasquis with his message basically in the quipus. You would read one by one, and each of them had a knot on a certain place, and that would mean something. And so the whole thing will be tied up together with different lines, with different knots at different places, and that would be like a message for the person.
Wow, that's
they were pretty advanced.
Yeah, definitely.
Up to when the Spaniard came.
So. Yeah,
That was their undoing.
Yeah, that's fair. But one of the cool things that I know about Machu Picchu, because I actually I did a travel trivia Tuesday a few weeks ago, and we talked about the seven wonders of the world, and obviously Machu Picchu is one of those.
Right.
But you can't actually see Machu Picchu from below. Correct?
Right, exactly. No, you
so
can't.
that's one of the reasons why it's in such great condition nowadays, is because the Spaniards didn't actually know it was even there.
Right, exactly. The Spaniards never discovered it. This was discovered, I can't remember exactly the date, but it was, I think, 1920 something. So, way past the Spaniards. And yeah, that goes to show how if they really wanted it to keep something secret, they were able to.
Yeah, and I know it was the Incans were Machu Picchu.
Incas is Machu Picchu. Yeah.
They did a lot of solar and astronomy, and there's a part on there that when the sun is at high noon, it literally casts no shadow on one of the rocks there. And I also found this out, and I found this was really cool. Machu Picchu is actually more stable for earthquakes than the entire city of San Francisco.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean it's literally a mountain, so
yeah.
Awesome. When you make your temple a mountain, I guess it comes with those.
It's true. That's true, but it also had to do with the way they built it, because I think Peru is known for earthquakes, right? You guys get a lot.
It is. It actually sits on a fault line, in the Andes fault line, so which crosses it all the way down from the top to the north to the south. And also in the ocean, there's also another fault. So it's a pretty seismic area. Yeah. Growing up, when I was a kid, I remember, 9, 10 times in which I was suddenly awakened by my mom and everything was shaking, and we had to run out of the house and stand on the street looking at our house, just making sure that nothing fell down or nothing came down.
Yeah, that must have been.
Yeah, it's things you remember when you're a kid that you obviously don't experience here any longer.
Yeah, definitely.
It happened in Florida.
That's an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was.
So, where did you live when you were in Peru then?
I lived in Lima, which was it's the capital of Peru. Because my dad was in the army, we did move a lot at the very beginning. So I went to all different places. I lived in this. I guess it's all gonna tie together on the weather of Peru as well, because it's very distinct. You have the coast, which is all along the side of Peru.
Yep.
Basically the beach, along with a little bit of the desert that separates the coast from the mountain. So then it goes into the mountain, which is a higher elevation. And then also at the other side, when it comes down from the Andes, it comes down into the jungle. So basically the jungle, and then right next to it is Brazil. So you kind of can put those two things together. And when it comes to recommendations on places to go, each of them has their own beauty. The coast has beaches that, for miles, some of them are virgin, that they haven't been explored before, or they haven't been populated. The middle, we call it La Sierra, the mountains, basically offer you things like Machu Picchu and all those kinds of ruins that are littered in Cusco. And then La Selva, which would offer you, or the jungle, which would offer you Iquitos, Tarapoto. These are places that you can only get by basically boat, like a big boat in the river. So it's amazing as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse. In when you want to go somewhere, you have to know what kind of weather you are going to be encountering for that specific place.
Of course, yeah. And we'll touch on the weather a little bit, because that's always one thing people are interested in. They're like, what's the weather like in a different country?
Right.
Since we're talking about it, what is the weather like in Peru?
Yeah, so Lima, it's going to be sitting up against the Pacific Ocean. And up against the mountains of the Andes mountains, the mountains across South America from north to south. And so a lot of the ocean weather, I guess, bounces off the mountain and basically lays right on top of Lima. So Lima's going to be a city that it's kind of overcast most of the time. Only during summer you don't see that kind of effect, but at the same time you don't see the sun all the time.
Gotcha.
You would see, it's a clear day, but you look up and through the mountain cloud through the clouds you cannot see the sun. So it's kind of weird. It's one of the things that impressed me the most when I got to United States, because when I got to Miami, the sky was beautiful blue, and the mountains. I mean, the clouds were puffy and big, and that's one of the things that I was most impressed about.
Interesting. Very cool.
So, in the middle, in La Sierra, in the mountains, the weather is gonna be a little bit more dry, also colder. Um, and there are certain precautions that need to be taken, especially, for example, if you go to Machu Picchu, or if you go to a high altitude place. I can't remember right now how high Machu Picchu is, but I went with my friends. I was the only Peruvian one, and so all my friends were American. And I foolishly, the rules when you go to Cusco or Machu Picchu are basically that you need to get there, you need to get acclimated, right? So you need to drink this tea that they're gonna give you. Is a coca tea leaf, and it doesn't have any, it won't give you hallucinations or make you high or anything like that. It just kind of like calms you down, and it helps you get over that altitude. I mean, if
Yeah.
you come from a place like Colorado, you'll be okay. But if you come from a place like Florida or a coast place, you will be affected. I mean, the other big advice is to basically go to sleep. So you take your tea and then immediately go to bed. And so what happens is while you're sleeping, your body is slowly getting acclimated to the altitude.
Definitely. Yeah.
Since I was young and foolish and Peruvian, I thought that I was better than everyone else, and I decided to go instead, while everyone else was sleeping, hike around and visit my country by myself. But no, it's not a good idea. I actually got that altitude sickness, and I was unable to eat a lot of things for a while. I
Wow.
was surviving on chicken noodle soup and headaches, uh, constipation. My stomach couldn't hold any foods for like about 2 3 days. So yeah, it's to be taken very seriously.
Wow. Yeah.
Get
I mean,
acclimated. Get
my
acclimated if you do that.
yeah, definitely. My wife and I went to Colorado for Thanksgiving. We're actually in Denver and Colorado
Uh,
Springs. So I haven't been to Colorado in years. And I mean, we went from Florida to North Carolina, and it's honestly, we're not much higher in altitude up here. I think we're
right.
like 320 feet, whereas
Right.
Denver is a mile high. And so it was like,
Exactly.
I hadn't acclimated to that in probably 15 years, because the last time I was there, I was honestly a young kid. And
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado, but my wife took me out to Pulpit Rock. And so it was the first
Mm.
day we were there. We got up at 4 a.m., drove to Charlotte, and then flew out, and we drove down to Colorado Springs. But it was getting dark, and we're walking through. And I was like walking, I'm like, why can I not catch my breath? Like,
Yes. You're,
I was like, I feel like I'm taking
you're
so
trying
many
constantly.
breaths.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Gasping.
oh, there's
Yeah.
not as much oxygen up here. This
No,
makes
no,
sense. Yeah.
no.
It was the weirdest feeling. It was so weird. I'm very thankful to be back in North Carolina, though.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So if you experience something like that, it's truly just like that, except higher.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Definitely.
And we were talking about going up to Pikes Peak, and I was like, guys, I think it'd be fun, but maybe on a longer trip where I can get more acclimated to the
Right.
environment before we go up
Yes.
there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's
Really.
important. It's important.
Mhm.
And then the last one would be, I guess, the jungle. The jungle is gonna be like Florida, I guess.
Yeah.
Hot, sweaty, a lot of mosquitoes, and a lot of. So I guess another of the recommendations will be to get your vaccinations done
Yeah.
before you get to Peru, and I think it's a requirement as well. Um,
Probably for
get your,
countries like that.
yeah, exactly, because of so many things that might happen in there. And the weather in there, like I said, it was going to be hot, humid, but you're going to be experiencing, nature at its best.
Yeah.
It's untouched. It's there in front of you all the time, and for that same reason, you need to take precautions on how you're behaving while you're around. make sure that you. One of the things that stuck to me a lot when I was there was the fact that one of the guys told me that you never hug, you never walk over a tree that is fallen. You always step on it because you never know if that tree is going to be a snake.
Mm.
Right. And so they have I've seen a boa that was maybe about the circumference of my
Oh,
hands
yeah.
together.
That's
Yeah, eating
gigantic
eating
and
eating
terrifying.
dogs, eating animals from the jungle. So that's one of the small things to to keep your eye out for, but
Well,
they are
welcome to
present.
the jungle.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the jungle. Mosquitoes. I would be most worried about mosquitoes than anything else. So,
That's fair.
make sure that you are always long sleeves on the jungle, and that you keep your, mosquito cream on you at all times.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. I don't know if you've ever been to Minnesota, but in Minnesota, the state bird is the mosquito.
Wow. That's
they're
not good.
they're absolutely massive, but mosquitoes have always like been drawn to me. And so when we moved to Minnesota, I was like, "This sucks. I hate it."
Yes,
And so I
yes.
literally would wear baggy, clothes and sweatpants and sweatshirts whenever I was outside, in the time of night where there's mosquitoes because they wouldn't go through it because it's baggy. But if you're wearing something tight, they'll go straight through that into your skin. It's
Yeah,
like, what is
yeah,
this?
yeah. It's the same thing in Peru. I mean, I would be wearing jeans, and like you said, it needs to be like baggy things because otherwise, I mean, they would go through my
For
jeans
sure.
like no
Yep.
problem.
Yep.
And it's one of the things that you definitely want to avoid because
Yeah.
mosquitoes carry a lot of diseases.
Yeah, and that's absolutely insane. So
Yes,
Ronnie, I actually do have a question for you. What is the language that's spoken in Peru?
it's Spanish.
It is Spanish. Okay.
That is the most widely used language.
Okay.
Although in little communities they have also their own little languages, but Spanish is
Okay.
mostly
I was just
the
curious.
spoken language. Uh-huh.
Cool. And I'm wondering, being in the food industry,
Yep.
what's kind of the difference between like Peruvian food and like maybe food that we normally eat here in America? Like, can you tell
Right.
us a little bit about that?
Of course, it's freshness. It's freshness. Potatoes are from Peru.
Really?
They're actually
Okay.
the first time that anyone ever had a potato was in Peru. Later on, they were exported to Ireland, and they had
The
that
potato
potato famine and whatnot.
famine. But
Yeah, it
everybody knows,
actually,
but has no idea what it actually was.
yeah, well, it actually happened. Everything was fine until they took some dirt from Peru, and then they took that dirt back to Ireland, and that dirt had different
Organism.
microbe and fauna and whatnot that affected the plants that were there, and so it just spread all around it. But the seafood, a lot of seafood, especially if you're in the coast. I mean, you have the whole length of Peru is on the
Yeah.
coast of the Atlantic Pacific
Pacific.
Ocean.
Yep.
So the water is gonna be pristine, cold, incredible seafood, spicy. They like a lot of spicy food. Um, and basically and fresh. I mean, it's I wish I could have Peruvian potatoes here. There's actually more than 5,000 different kinds of potatoes.
Really?
Kinds of potatoes, yeah. So
I
I
did
mean,
not know that.
yeah, I've eaten some that are yellow, and once they're boiled, you just add salt to it. It's papa amarilla, it's yellow potato, and it basically just falls apart, and it feels when you're eating it just boil with salt and it tastes like it already has butter in it and it's creamy and delicious. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. If you are there, I mean, I love visiting for cultural reasons and watching things like that. But to be brutally honest, I go to Peru to eat. I do.
That's fine.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I always try to go to a different place when I'm there
I love
at
that.
different places.
Absolutely love that. So you actually kind of touched on this a little bit. You said you kind of go for the culture. What is a cultural thing that you really enjoy about Peru?
How its history is written everywhere. So
Okay.
a lot of when the Spaniards came, they started to assimilate the Indians to the Catholic religion. They intermingle with their population. mestizos and other different races were born from that. Spaniards with Indians, Spaniards with blacks, blacks with Indians, Indians with blacks, and so on and forth. A lot of different races came up, and so because of the same reason, a lot of things were kept. When you're in Lima, which is the capital of Peru, and you walk downtown, you see a lot of the buildings from the Spanish era, and you might walk into another part of Peru, another just like a regular neighborhood, but in the middle, they covered in fencing, they have like a pyramid, like a little pyramid that the Peruvians built, and it's all kept in there. So yeah, I remember when I was a kid going to school in my school bus and basically going by, and they'll be like, oh, that's such and such ruin, and so it's palpable. It's everywhere where you turn.
That's really cool.
It's in its food, because a lot of the recipes and a lot of the food have been passed from the Incas on to that now live, the generation that is alive now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, its culture is very intrinsic to its food. It's very tied together, and it's one of the prides of Peru. I think it's been named several times one of the best culinary places to go. So
really,
yes, I mean,
okay,
ceviche, which is fish, stewed in lime juice and whatnot. So a lot of people may have a preconception of what a ceviche may be like, but once they have it in Peru, it's like an eye-opening experience because they realize that they've been wrong all their lives.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know we'll have culinary people watching this, so
yeah,
that's fantastic. Definitely put that on your list for all you culinarians and foodies out there to go to Peru and just learn to eat.
For sure. There is a time of the year. There is I can't remember right now when it is. I think it's in July. There is a food festival in which basically they pull people from all over the United States, like Mama and Papa's restaurants, and they place them in this place, and you can order food from the jungle, food from the mountains, food from the coast. Even and the coast goes from the bottom to the top. So it's the city all the way on the north next to Ecuador, which has different things that they eat. So it's the diversity of things still being from the same place. It's incredible.
That sounds incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that actually kind of takes us into our next question is what are some of the traditions that you have in Peru?
A lot of oral traditions, meaning that stories that have been passed from generation to generation. One of the traditions that it's important for everyone there. Peru is a very religious country. It's Catholic, mostly I'm talking about maybe 90 to 80%. And so they also have one thing called El Señor de los Milagros. It's basically the gentleman of miracles. It's this kind of Jesus shaped form that they carry around during the month of October, and basically taking them all around the city, and that's one of the big traditions in Lima. Cool. But other things it's dancing, marinera. Marinera is from the coast. Dance with big white flowing dresses, and then you also have dances from the mountains, which is that's La Sierra, and that comes El Huayno, and so it's each little thing has its very particular thing. And that's what's fun about it, because you can literally pick any place that you want in Peru, meaning any I'm gonna say state, but they're definitely smaller than the states in here, and each of them is gonna have its own rich culture that you can explore. It's a place that you can literally go one by one and get a different perspective of Peru.
Absolutely amazing. So it really sounds like Peru has really just a really diverse artistic culture. All sorts of different art and culinary, dancing. I can't imagine there's sculpting or carving or stuff like that with all the Inca stuff that happened back then and is still there today. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming there's places where you can get, traditional Inca artifacts from
Oh yeah.
people who are still carving it from their ancestors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then basically following the same traditions that they did, whether it's building ceramic or whether it's like you said, carving things.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're very proud of their history and their costumes, and so
Mhm.
they are responsible for passing on these to the next generation, and then carrying them on to the next generation as well. So
I
yeah,
love
it's awesome.
I love that. It sounds awesome. I'm getting excited to go to Peru, and I haven't even planned a trip there yet. Awesome. So I know we touched on a couple of the other questions that I sent you but kind of to really go over one of these last few ones. If someone
Yeah,
does travel to Peru,
yeah.
where would you recommend them going?
So unfortunately, Peru is not a place that you could visit in a week. It's almost like you would have to take a week in order to be able to take in each specific
Gotcha.
region. Is what I'm saying. If you want to go to the coast, then you would go. If you want to go to the mountains, you could go Machu Picchu. You could go to place that is also amazing to go because, like I said, nature is so palpable in there. So on the coast, you could go to Lima.
Yep.
Lima is the city where you're gonna arrive when you come from the exterior, and from there you're gonna embark to wherever else you wanna go. So if you wanna remain Nazca or Paracas, Ica Nazca Paracas, Ica is basically another state that is south of Lima, Peru,
Okay.
in which they are located the Nazca lines. The Nazca lines are these things that are drawn on the ground, and they were discovered about 120 years ago. You can see them from space on Google Earth.
Okay.
So it's I've been there. I went to see the Haley go by when I was about 12 years old, and I just experienced so many things in there because it's incredible how these things are all around you and you can't see them. But if you had the ability to go 100 feet straight up in the air and look down, then these things will be perfectly clear for you.
That's cool.
And it's incredible how they've lasted all these years, and certain things that have happened to some of them which make you wonder what's going on, because in one instance there's one that is up against the mountain. It's called a candelabra. It's basically like a candle.
Candle holder. Yep.
It's one of those things that holds. Barely some people drove over with bikes and kind of destroy the formation a little bit, and then they closed it. But come to find out, about a week later, it was back to normal like it was before. So
What?
yeah, it's crazy. I
What?
would, yeah, if you wanna have that sci-fi alien kind of experience, I would go to Ica Nazca Paracas, because there's this other one called the astronaut. It's basically it looks like a humanoid. It's
Okay.
on the side of a mountain. It's the whole side of the mountain is him, right? And
Wow.
it has a round head with two big eyes, and then it basically works itself into a body. And so, humans don't look like that, and there's a lot of debate on what made it happen and
Yeah.
how were they able to know where were they putting the rocks on the floor in order to make this. I mean, these things are giant. Some things are miles long that you, like I said, you could be standing in the middle of it and you can't see it, but go 100 feet up in the air, which normally what you do, you get on a little biplane, and the biplane will take you around to each of the lines and basically show them to you from above.
So
But
cool.
I guess the same experience could be done with Google Earth if you really know where to look.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's not the same. It's an
no,
experience,
not
but it's
at
not
all.
the same.
Not at
Wow.
all. I highly recommend it. When I went to see the Haley, the comet Haley go by, we were laying on the ground watching the Haley. You could see it. It's basically like it looks like a big light with like a little, like a big star with like a little tail on the back. It's
Yep.
crazy. And all of a sudden, on a different point of the sky, we would see a dot that would be slowly moving from one side, stop, and then move fast to another, and then slowly move to. It was.
What?
Yes, yeah. I'm
Wow.
not lying to you. I promise you. I was laying
I
on the ground
believe you.
watching this point moving from the sky from one side to another, and it was making weird movements and fast movements. So
Absolutely
if
incredible.
that's an area where you like things like that, you'll be very close to it.
Okay, there we go. All of our adrenaline junkies and sci-fi.
Yes. In the middle, Cusco obviously is one of those places, but the Inca Empire was um, so large that it went all the way from Ecuador, Colombia, all the way almost down to um, Argentina on the bottom. So it didn't go onto the jungle because they couldn't manage going over that area. That you seldomly or almost no Inca structures are left behind in the jungle of Peru, but they kind of covered a little bit onto that area, and it's that middle area. Uh, Cusco has a lot of different places in Cusco itself that you could visit. So there's like maybe 20 different ruins that you could walk up to and see how they live, including Machu Picchu, Sacsayhuaman, which was like also like a religious city. Uh, Definitely around that area is where you want to be if you want to go to the middle. And then if you want to go to the jungle, I would recommend going to Iquitos, which is going to be the most touristic city. It's still giving you a flavor of what the jungle is about. Uh, and just if you want to go into a different place around the jungle, it would just be a lot harder because it's not so focused on people from the exterior. It's just people from the interior. So unless you go with a person there, then you and there what is to marvel and to wonder there is it's the rich environment that you're in, full of wild animals at every step. And so it's an area where you need to be incredibly careful about decisions that you make constantly all the time.
Oh,
So
I bet.
yeah, it's all three regions of Peru are amazing to go visit.
I love it. Absolutely
And
love
the
it.
food is different. Food is different in
Oh, of
every
course.
region. Yeah,
Yep.
in the coast, in the middle of the mountains, and then the jungle, they all eat different things.
I
So
bet. Yeah, just like
the
in
thousands of
Italy.
recipes are incredible.
I can't even imagine. Just like in Italy, where you start at the south and work your way north,
Exactly.
it changed so much in that span.
Exactly. Same concept. Same concept. Yes.
So
Mhm.
cool. All right, so we're kind of we're running out of time here, but I'm just gonna wrap up
Yeah.
here with the last couple of questions. What
Of
is
course.
your favorite part of Peru, Ronnie?
Uh, the
It's a
food.
tough question. The food?
It's the food.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love ceviche. It's my number one food, and if I could eat ceviche every day of my life, I would.
There you go. Awesome. I love it. Okay, so last thing, if you
Yes.
could give any advice to anybody who's traveling to Peru, what would that be?
Mhm. Definitely get your vaccines in order.
Mm-hmm.
Get your paperwork in order. It is if you go to Lima, you're gonna be, perfectly okay. It's a place that is very used to a lot of visitors, so it's very friendly in that sense. There's a lot of people that are very well known for even knowing to how to speak English. So if you are a little bit short in the language, you're gonna be able to communicate better there.
Gotcha.
I would also say decide where you want to go, because you say, oh, I'm going to go to Peru and I want to go to Cusco and I want to go to Ica. That's going to be like two different trips.
Yeah.
In Cusco, you're going to have to probably try to spend or invest maybe a couple of weeks or maybe 1 week, solid 1 week being in Cusco, because when you get to Lima now you have to travel there, so you're still now missing some flying days in here and there.
Yep, that makes sense.
And so yeah, basically map out where do you want to go, research it really well, and don't be afraid. It's a beautiful place, people are friendly, and the food is amazing.
I love it.
Rich history.
I love it. Perfect. So, Ronnie, just wrapping up here, can you leave us with some words in Spanish? Just, some closing words for us, and then give us the translation afterwards.
Yes. Disfruten Perú, coman mucho y tengan mucha y que se diviertan mucho. So eat all the food, have a lot of fun, and get ready to have a great time.
I love it. I love it. Ronnie, thanks so much for being here tonight.
It's
We
my
really
pleasure,
appreciate
Nathan.
having you on. It's been a pleasure learning about your country. And
Thank
I
you.
know everybody who watches this is going to get really just some great knowledge and some good nuggets with everything that you said. So thanks so
For
much.
sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Bye. But thanks for being on tonight, everybody. And yeah. Awesome. Well, Ronnie, thanks so much for being here tonight. It has been a pleasure having you. For everybody else watching, thanks for being here, taking the time out of your day, and learning a little bit about the world that we live in. And guys, that's really why I do these. It's a lot of fun. I honestly love learning about places that I've never been to and want to go to. Peru is definitely on that list. Machu Picchu sounds incredible. Also, for you Disney fanatics, who doesn't want to go to Cusco? Because, well, Cusco-topia, right? That's got to be what it is. Probably not. I mean, definitely not. But it still sounds like a lot of fun. But everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Again, register in our 7-night resort getaway, guys. It is on the 19th. We're giving that away. All you got to do is go onto our page, post a picture of you at one of your trips that you absolutely loved, say where it was, and register on our website. Or go ahead, throw a picture of a place you want to go. And if you're already registered, just put already registered and you're entered just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as I like to say. Also, tune in. Travel Trivia Tuesday next week. It's going to be a lot of fun because it's never not fun. We always have a lot of fun on there. But, guys, we are doing a 4-night cruise for 2 people. Also, the resort giveaway is for 4. So register. It doesn't hurt. Get registered. Come join us for Travel Trivia Tuesday. Share it with your friends and have them hop on. It's a fun time. I just love it. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. So thanks so much for being on tonight, everybody. Have a great weekend. Congratulations. You made it through the week. One more down, and we're closer to Christmas. It's coming up. Here we go. Also, if you're looking to put Christmas, if you're looking to put a trip under the tree, guys, let us know. We have ways for you to book your trip and put it on layaway, which is a small deposit down. So you can be like, hey, honey, guess what? Guess what I got you for next year? And it's a great gift. So, guys, let us know. We're here to help. We're just trying to help people, see the world. And, again, that's what Fun Fact Friday is all about. So I'm going to sign off here tonight. My name is Nathan, co-owner of Dawn of Adventures, of course, with my wife, Ashley. This here is my Fun Fact Friday hat. And we will see you guys next Tuesday for Travel Trivia Tuesday. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Happy adventuring, everybody.